All right, moving on. According to warrants obtained by CNN, the father whose toddler died after being left in a hot car made comments to family members regarding a $27,000 life insurance policy that he had on his son.
And of course, we're getting this new information right after the hearing where prosecutors described Ross Harris as an unfaithful husband who was in financial trouble. They even allege he spent his days sexting with a half-dozen women, including one who was under the age of 18, 16 at the time, I think the detective said. The whole time, his 22-month-old son, Cooper, was left to die in the back seat of his SUV. Let's bring in defense attorney Pate now with more on this. Paige, we've been talking about this nonstop since I started covering it. You came in to talk about it. When we hear about these sexts and the underage girl, what is this accomplishing for the state?
Well, I think two things. Number one, it's getting the public to realize that this is a bad character, and they're using this bad character evidence to try to taint or push public opinion away from him. I don't think we're going to see any more online petitions to not charge Ross Harris. The second thing is I think it's laying the groundwork for the possibility that the district attorney could pursue a death penalty charge. Now, they're on the clock right now. They've held him without bond, so they have 90 days to determine if they're going to indict him, present it to the grand jury, and then at the arraignment, they will have to make the decision if they're going to charge a death penalty.
So with all this horrific, all these horrific details coming out and all this media attention now, the tide has certainly turned because it certainly began very differently with a lot of empathy and sympathy for this guy. As defense attorney, how do you start preparing for this case in the public eye? How do you defend against this when it seems that, I mean, it almost seems like he's convicted already? Right.
A lot of people just want to go ahead and close the book on him. I mean, after hearing the evidence that we did at the probable cause hearing, there's a lot of evidence. It's a hard case to win. The first thing the defense attorney has to do, though, is tell your client to stop talking. I mean, apparently these new warrants are based on information that he's trying to arrange the recovery of the proceeds on the life insurance policies while he's in custody. I cannot think of any better evidence for the state to show motive than trying to get the money from the life insurance policy. So tell him to be quiet. That's the number one thing.
You know, the warrant says that as it relates to these two policies, one's $2,000 that comes through his employer, the Home Depot. The second was $25,000 that, according to the investigator who was on the stand, was taken out in November of 2012, just months after the child was born, essentially. So my question is, does it matter essentially when he started to talk about this, if he asked his family before the child's death, after the child's death when he's in custody, or if it was months ago?
I think it does matter. I mean, obviously, the closer in time to the incident, the more guilty he appears. There is another explanation, and I'm sure we're going to hear something from the defense. Once they review all of the evidence, they need to put forth some theory. I mean, why would he do this other than to kill his child?
Why would someone take out a life insurance policy on their 22-month-old kid?
Right.
Why?
I think a long time ago it made sense financially, a big whole life policy, maybe it's some sort of an investment for the child. But in this case, I think the circumstances point to a bad motive, unfortunately.
You know, for so long we were asking, where's the defense here? Where's the family? Where are the friends? Well, Michaela Pereira of New Day during the week had a conversation with someone who says that this is just not the Ross Harris they know. Let's listen.
Before this tragedy, I had never heard anyone say a bad thing about him. He was just an overall great guy.
So I can imagine you were probably quite surprised when you heard the news. Tell me about the day you found out about this.
I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw people that I know posting about it. We were all in shock because we all knew him. It's just still a disbelief, not knowing what to think.
So does this help the defense, or does this reinforce the doubled life narrative?
It reinforces the narrative that the state wants to use. And another thing about this type of public information, these character witnesses, I think, are going to have a hard time coming back to court to support him because they're finding out things about his life I'm certain they did not know. And this is something the state often does in these cases so that you don't see as many character witnesses when it comes time for trial.
Let's quickly talk about his wife, who seemingly showed little, if no emotion in court, which I can't even understand that. Could she be charged in this? Where does she fit in this?
She certainly could be charged. Based on the evidence we've heard so far, I don't think they have enough to charge her with felony murder or with cruelty to children. But as the investigation unfolds, I mean, we already have her statements to the daycare, which are very strange. Her conversations with her husband while he was being questioned about, did you say too much? That's very incriminating evidence. And once they look at all of the history on the computers, the financial information, if it appears that the two of them are trying to get together to now collect on the insurance proceeds, that's strong evidence.
You know, I wonder how much his defense attorney knew about all that was uncovered in during this hearing, because there's no discovery before a probable cause
That's
hearing.
exactly right. Well, you're right. I mean, as a defense lawyer, your client usually doesn't tell you everything. And I've been in that chair many times, and I'm hearing things for the first time, and I want to go somewhere, but you can't. You got to stand strong. So I'm sure some of this is new, but at the same time, his defense attorney, longtime friends with the prosecutor, he's worked in that DA's office before, so I would be surprised if he didn't at least get some heads up as to this is what we have.
Wow. All right, Pate, an intriguing case that's happening, and every day more is trickling out, more and more. Pate, thank you so much.
Thank you.